What a week. What a week in professional wrestling. One of the most talked about men in the business is back in the business.
The man?
And for the better.
The man is back?
We'll talk about the man, and we'll talk about the man who's from the best pro wrestling city in the world, 2 bars, 4 stars, baby, Chicago, Illinois' very own CM Punk. We're getting into all of it. Pro wrestling, guys.
We're not talking about Jon Moxley today.
But he is a good guy. He is.
Jon Moxley's not on the docket. That's the guy from the best wrestling city in the world.
Oh,
yeah.
He just threw a
Pro wrestling is in a very fun time right now. We'll get into it. It's this week's Inside Kradle from Sportskeeda Wrestling. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Watch out.
I am Kev Kellam. Rick Ucchino with us once again, returning to Earth from the planet Las Vegas.
Dude, I am still trying to reacclimate to the Eastern time zone. It felt like Sunday, about Sunday evening, because my flight got delayed until Monday morning.
Rick was at SummerSlam. If you weren't aware,
I finally got used to West Coast time, and then it's like, nope, you're going home. And then I lost 3 hours of my day by doing that, because it sucks when you go from West Coast to East Coast. Because flight leaves at 8 o'clock, and suddenly you arrive. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're like, where the hell is my damn day gone? But I'm still a little hungover and still a little jet lagged, but I'm here. Damn it, I'm trying.
Speaking of hungover, let's talk to the birthday boy in Nebraska. If he asks you, you did a Randy Orton pose there, but you got the hands up lightly. You know, he was talking about all of his buddies' bottom shots last night, Mr. Jeremy Bennett.
Shots.
Yeah, I went out last night and I got my birthday tonight, so I kind of split it up so I don't have all the shots tonight.
Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it.
Smart.
We got lots to talk about today. A lot to get into. CM Punk is back in the business. What does this mean for wrestling as a whole? Not just AEW, obviously. He is back in AEW. It was a spectacular moment. I was there. You guys can check out this past week's top stories. We also have a clip of that big entrance that was able to gather. That is up on our socials as well. We also have the sneaky teases of AEW. What are these sneaky teases that AEW is already doing? Because it isn't enough that we got CM Punk and he seismically changed the world, all right? Is Jericho actually going to retire? Jericho teases this with the upcoming AEW All Out pay-per-view on September 5th, and we will talk about the man, Becky Lynch. A lot to get into on today's show. A lot to hop into here. But let's jump right into our leadoff. Also, we do have fan questions and different things like that for you guys watching on demand, watching live as this premieres. We want you guys to jump into the comments below, and we'll respond to these in the days ahead. So if you see us actually responding, we're going to do it with the Sportskeeda Wrestling channel. And thank you guys to everyone who subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is hopefully, maybe even by the time you hear this, cracking 20,000 subscribers.
So close.
So close. It's on the horizon. So CM Punk, no longer the voice of the voiceless, but he is definitely the reeler of the ratings because he scored a huge number in his debut for AEW Rampage. The show went from 750,000 overnight viewers to nearly 1.2 overnight viewers the next week.
Is that good? I think that's pretty good.
For Friday, Friday late,
for a Friday night show, 9 p.m. And also a show that was sold out live on a rumor.
Do I dare say that moved the needle?
It did move the needle.
I was gonna say they did 1 million plus with no official advertisement whatsoever that CM Punk was going to be there.
Exactly,
none.
And it was a huge deal. I was there. It felt like a moment. There were I've mentioned there were other issues with the show and other things, right? But it was so special. It was absolutely one of the biggest moments of the year in the professional wrestling business. It's what fans have wanted for years. They've wanted this for years. Maybe they even wanted this when he was in WWE. They wanted something like this, right?
Yeah.
This was so special. And now he's here. He did his second appearance just last night in Milwaukee, as he called it, because he was training up there for MMA. And business is good. Wonder what that number is going to be like. Obviously, they're already sold out for All Out. Now is this going to do it for pay-per-view? Is he going to be a massive draw on pay-per-view for AEW, and we're talking traditional pay-per-view, $50 a pop. What say you, Jeremy? Does Punk continue to move the proverbial needle that he's not supposed to move, according to Roman Reigns?
Oh yeah, I think he does. I mean, you saw the reactions, not just in Milwaukee last night, but worldwide. You know, everybody is excited for Punk, and then he broke the internet again last night by basically saying somebody else is all elite without saying he's all elite. But yeah, he does move the needle. I'm very curious to see what that Dynamite number is going to be. Literally, probably, I would say 2.5 hours from when we're recording right now is probably when that number is going to drop. So, you know, I expect that number to be pretty big. It's probably going to be do you guys think it'll be bigger than the debut episode of Dynamite? Rick?
I would say yes, because they are actually advertising, CM Punk this time around. He actually did show up. Now they were able to promote that he was going to be there for 4 or 5 days, what have you. Everybody was pumped. Just look at the amount of merchandise. Look at the lines. Look at the websites that have been crashed since this guy came back. He hasn't even wrestled yet.
He took down the Bone Soldier.
He hasn't even put on a pair of tights yet. He hasn't laced up the boots. And this guy's the talk of the wrestling world because he's that good. He's that damn good. When that man speaks, you're captivated. You're drawn in. You listen to every word that he says. And it's going to be even better this time around because the shackles are off. There's nothing holding CM Punk back. He can say whatever the hell he wants with very little consequence. Case in point, last night, dropping the big Daniel Bryan. Just the crowd. My God, man. Like, seriously. Everybody's losing their minds. Yes, yes, yes. CM Punk just gets this big old smile on his face and just goes, now that's somebody else's shtick. Just be a little bit more patient on that one. And the crowd loses his mind. It was so good. It was just perfect in that moment.
Internet melted.
My only question is, and it's a very valid question because he hasn't stepped foot in the ring in 7 years, and he even admitted himself at the end of Rampage last week during the press call, he hasn't done a whole lot of extensive in-ring training. Can he still go? Mm-hmm. If he can go, if he can still wrestle, we've seen guys older than him still be able to compete at a high level. Guys like Edge, guys like Bobby Lashley, obviously. Daniel Bryan is not as old as CM Punk, but he's right around there. We know he can still go. If Punk can get back in the ring and he's even half as good as he used to be, this is a game changer. Absolute game changer for AEW.
He's a young 42 because he's been out of the game for 7 years.
He still has a bump card. It's close to being filled up, but he hasn't been taking bumps for the last 7 years. He's healthy.
I think that's a critical thing. That's a critical thing. He's been training athletically for fighting. All right. He's mentally still very, very sharp. He's been doing the acting. He's been creative, and also you can tell, I don't think this is an off speculation. He looks very motivated. Looks very, very motivated. It looks like the almost the, for lack of a better phrase, the edge that he had in WWE that made him so exciting was his resentment of creative limitations and different things that he has. He doesn't have those there. To me, it's the perfect guy for AEW, where he's from the independent. He's a wrestler that is very much meant for men of a certain age and a punk rock crowd. He is that guy. It's a better fit. All the things he could do in WWE, he's kind of already done, outside of headlining WrestleMania, right? And if that is the one thing he wants to do, could he still do it? Who knows? We don't know. We also don't know the length of his deal with AEW here. We don't know how long it is, but it looks very, very healthy. He would not come back to wrestling, and he said unless it was a boatload of money, and also that merch money. He's always been making that money. Now he's making probably a lot more. So this is all, as Tony Khan put it in an interview, with Levitardi this past week, best deal he's ever made. Some debated he probably already made this money back in merch.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably, depending on what the terms of the deal were. And look, Punk would not be back if this wasn't the right situation. And he, again, going back to that press conference that he had after Rampage on Friday, said he was talking to Tony Khan for 18 months. It took Tony Khan 18 months to prove to CM Punk that it was worth coming back to professional wrestling and that AEW was different. And
they said it in the media scrum too. Like we're not going to do this with no crowd either. So we got to wait for that right moment once the crowds come back. And obviously that time was now. And then you do like a pop-up show in Chicago. This was, basically not on the schedule.
That's a great way of describing it too.
A pop-up. Yeah. It was,
who's doing that? Who's announced? That's like WWE saying, "Hey, we're going to be at the Garden in 2 weeks."
And 2 weeks before you run a pay-per-view in that same city as well. I mean,
3 times.
Yeah.
They're gonna run Chicago 3 more times.
Yeah.
All right, we get it, Kev. Chicago.
No, but I'm saying, like, if they did this anywhere, right? If
go
they did this,
Cubs, go.
Don't you dare say go.
Go Cubs, go.
This is, hey, we're in Sox territory, baby. And I know who's going to be in the playoffs. Okay, I know who's going to be there. All right, so that's a whole other conversation. Sound off in the comments here, guys. We challenge you, by the way, for you guys watching the comments, to tell us what AEW Punk dream matches you want to see. All right, so fire off on those. We'll definitely want to read yours. If you're in the comments, let us know what you guys think of those before. Rick, he's now there. We know he's getting Darby Allin.
Yes,
but let's just have fun here. Make a couple of matches down the line.
Jeez.
Make a couple of matches down the line. What are we teasing? Are we getting a program here with Darby? I think this is more than a one-match scenario here.
I would say so. I think Darby is the absolute perfect first opponent for him. This is a guy that can flat out go in the ring. We all know that, but it's perfect for a guy like Punk because Darby can really, for a sense, carry this match. Punk is a great ring general. He's got years of experience. Punk can call this match on the fly. They can plan it however they want to do it. There's a lot of different ways they can go, but Punk can be a veteran presence in this match while Darby still carries most of it physically. So I think this is a tremendous first opponent for him. I don't think there's a prayer that he loses this opening matchup, but I mean, there's so many there. I mean, Kenny Omega. I mean, come on. I mean, I would think it would be almost insane for him not to eventually get in the AEW World Title picture. But I mean, you got Kenny Omega, you've got Hangman Adam Page, you've got Jungle Boy, for crying out loud. I mean, there's a number of great spots. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole and go down the history, I would love to see CM Punk and John Moxley. I'd love to see CM Punk and this John Moxley go at it. So I don't know. Punk has talked about before in the past how he wants to wrestle new people, so maybe he doesn't necessarily have John Moxley high up on his list.
But Punk said he's never wrestled John Moxley.
That's true. He wrestled that one guy that Roman Reigns got thrown out of WWE, that Dean Ambrose guy.
Yeah, that damn Roman.
Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities here. I think the combinations of him with younger wrestlers, and those are the ones he keeps dropping, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He keeps saying, if I say their name, it means something. The first name I ever said on television was Britt Baker, and that was important. There was a meaning to that. I think him with a Ricky Starks is interesting.
Yeah.
I think him with a bunch of different new names is interesting. I think him with the Bucks. He's never had a match with the Bucks. He's never done anything with the Bucks. So it's all very interesting, and you want to go even further, and I don't think this is going to happen for a while. I don't even think this is going to happen in 2022, maybe near the end of his deal. At some point, he's wrestling in Japan. He's wrestling in New Japan, and he's doing the Tokyo Dome, and he's doing some type of spectacle there in some form or another.
Can you imagine this January, Wrestle Kingdom, and you've got Bryan Danielson and CM Punk on that card?
That's the other match that we couldn't even bring up yet because we're all assuming that Bryan Danielson is going to be there, but we're going to get another Punk and Bryan match at some point. I think it has to happen.
Imagine that tag team match. Imagine that tag team match though. Punk and Danielson,
finest, dude. The world's finest. Batman and Superman.
Put Punk and Danielson together against the Young Bucks. Woo! 7 stars.
Money.
7 stars, man.
And you want to talk about just a match that will sell itself on star power alone. Punk versus Sting. One-on-one.
Marquee.
I mean, that's right there. If Punk beats Darby Allin at All Out,
then he calls out Sting.
Let's go after Papa Bear now. Why the hell not? Yeah. I mean, Jesus, I don't know how much Sting has left in the tank, and Sting hasn't done any one-on-one matches, I don't believe. He's been all doing tag.
But he still moves well in the ring.
The mother trucker got slammed through a table and no-sold it. All right.
I love that.
It is worth noting. It is worth noting. Spinal stenosis, nothing to mess with. All right.
Yeah.
62. When he did these matches, did he take back bumps? Yes, but they were very selective back bumps.
Yes.
That's why they did all the brawling, because then you could move into something. You don't have to take, as you call, you don't have to take a flat punishment, as they call it sometimes in wrestling. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do the jarring of the body. So maybe there's a Chicago street fight for CM Punk and Sting down the line.
That'd be a good idea. And I fully expect Punk to win at All Out, but I fully expect Darby to get a win back somewhere soon down the line.
That would be great television.
Yeah,
that's another thing. At some point, he's gonna wrestle on TV. You know.
So he's not part time. So
speaking of great television, one name we didn't bring up: Punk and MJF.
Oh, the promos.
The promos alone. My God.
How about Ray Phoenix too, man?
Think of all the people in AEW where it's supposed to be like an open notebook, and Tony Khan has the pen. And you pitch, right? Or excuse me, an open text thread. That's what we've been told. They book through text, which is I guess it makes sense, right? There's a Google Doc somewhere. Right?
It is 2021. It is 2021.
How many people lining up in front of TK's office pitching something for CM Punk, right? We will talk about Chris Jericho's in-ring career. Is it coming to an end? But I do want to talk about this, as we do have an AEW heavy show. We will talk WWE. SummerSlam was huge, but these are topics that people are getting into, and that's what the Inside Kradle is. It's deeper dives. We go into deeper dives and we do all of our fantasy booking sets. We want to hear from you guys. Want to hear about this? The sneaky teases.
They are so good at these
sneaky teases.
Hi, April.
So give this up to me here.
Do that. I'm gonna go Hawkeye here. Don't give me hope. All right.
Right.
Like, I had a brief moment of hope. Like, seriously.
AJ Lee and Britt Baker.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding when I said my initial reaction when I heard Punk was coming back was, okay, that's great. What about AJ Lee? That was my first reaction, and that was shame on me because I forgot how great Punk is, and I didn't realize how much I missed him until he was back on my television screen.
AJ Lee is CM Punk's wife, for those not in the know. You remember her?
And then
April.
Britt Baker was at a con just recently and said she would love to do a mixed tag match with AJ Lee and CM Punk against herself and a certain
AC. Shall we say AC?
Lay this out to me. What were they doing with the sneakers here? For those that don't know, they need to know.
Yeah, so CM Punk on the bottom of his sneaks on Rampage had 2 letters written on them on Friday. Those were the letters AC. And then last night on Dynamite had 2 different letters written on his sneaks. BW. AC.
AC Slater.
BW. A lot of people, not just myself, are able to put 2 and 2 together here and go, oh, hey, Adam Cole,
baby,
and Bray Wyatt. Those, who knows if there's any validity? Could be something completely different. Could be an inside joke for Punk. It could just be him being a master troller. But AEW, we've seen this before. They are great with the Easter eggs. They are fantastic with the Easter eggs, and usually they follow through on them. They are Marvel level good at the Easter eggs in AEW.
Uncle Dave says there are 3 planet shifting signings coming to AEW. 1 was Punk, 2 is Danielson, and he said 3 is going to be Wyatt. And he just announced that, I think, on his Observer last week, possibly, that Wyatt was expect Wyatt to be all elite, and that'd be the 3rd big signing for that company.
And that doesn't mean that there's not a 4th on the way, because Adam Cole's contract, according to Fightful Select, does not expire until tomorrow, Friday.
So Adam Cole could be hitting the market. He, of course, wrestled in a very arduous match that I don't think people gave enough love to at NXT TakeOver 36.
Again, hard to follow.
It was a hard match. They had to go on after that brilliant Ilya Dragunov and Walter match, which is the match of the year.
Match of the year.
But NXT's dead, right, Jeremy?
I never said it was dead. I said,
I know.
As
Get
you
into
know
that debate. If you want to hear it, Jeremy and I yell at each other.
Yell him, kill him. Yell him, kill him.
Hang on. It's not dead yet.
I called it the end of an era.
Save that for later. You're going to get a piece too.
I called it the end of an era, just like Triple H and Undertaker. The end of an era.
I can take that. But the sneaky submission, the sneaky suspicion here is that he's teasing all these different things here. Now, the thing is, at one point, does AEW say, we're not going to keep signing all the big people that leave there? We've seen the memes. They pulled up the AEW poster for All Out, and the people put WWE faces on all the different WWE people.
Well, first off, they also put one on Sting. If we're calling Sting a WWE guy, what are we even doing?
Right.
What are we even doing? The only reason that Vince brought him in there was so he could bury WCW once again.
For the better part, I'll debate that. But for the better part of the last 20 years, he is a WWE guy because that's where people saw his stuff, and DVDs and the network. And I mean, if you're a younger fan, he's a WWE guy.
WCW technically is owned by WWE, so yeah. So but he's not a WWE guy.
But I'm saying for somebody who's 15, they don't know the difference.
You say that they bring in all these WWE guys, but the problem was WWE put so many people under their thumb for so long to try to keep them from coming out. But then, these people are so tired of
going to do the same thing.
They're so tired of
guys are going to have their tag on them.
Yeah,
this is branding, guys. This is what it is.
What keeps them? Look how much they've expanded in 2 years. What keeps them from expanding further into a third show or something even bigger?
They will because they have to. Yeah. They almost have to. They almost need more than 3 hours of live programming right now.
Yeah.
We don't have Daniel Bryan yet. We don't have Bray Wyatt yet. We don't have possibly Adam Cole yet. Not to mention the fact that there are a bevy of female superstars. That's what I'm waiting for AEW to do. I'm waiting for them to load up on their women's division because there are a lot of free agents out there. We're going to get a wild card or a joker at All Out. So maybe that's going to be Ruby Riott.
Ruby Soho.
Whatever she's going by these days. So that could possibly be the case. Could be somebody bigger. We could get April Lee out of this.
And you got the Iconics still sitting out there at free agency.
Iconics reportedly drawing some interest from Impact. But there's a bevy of options out there. They're going to need to add more time. And the interesting thing is here, for anybody who's out there saying AEW is just pulling in all these WWE guys, wait until some of these contracts start to expire.
Yeah.
And some of the AEW people start jumping ship.
Who do you think's the first guy to jump?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
We're getting to that right now. Let's talk about a man who went on television last night in Milwaukee for AEW. I know this is such a non-WWE focused show, but we're going to get to, is this going to be a WWE focused show in a minute? The biggest signing that AEW had when they did their initial announcement in Jacksonville, Florida, the shadow of TIAA Stadium, that really put them on the map. Was it Kenny Omega? Was it the Bucks? Was it that collective of Ring of Honor guys that came over? No, it was Chris Jericho.
Yep.
Chris Jericho goes on television, says that he needs one more match with MJF. He needs to know if he can actually beat MJF, and he will put his career on the line at AEW All Out September 5th on pay-per-view. If he does not defeat him, he will leave AEW, and he will go to commentary. So it's worth noting he did not say he was gonna leave wrestling.
Right. Very important distinction. He said he will never wrestle for AEW again. Very important context there on that sentence. He will never wrestle for AEW again. Doesn't mean he can't wrestle in Impact, New Japan, whatever Forbidden Doors.
Here's where it gets more complicated. Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer Radio, reporting that Chris Jericho's contract with AEW is up in January. And the terms of whether or not he has signed a new one or any type of extension that would allow him to continue to be an in-ring performer is unclear. Chris Jericho's Rocking Wrestling Rager at Sea, which will feature some tape content for AEW, is going down. They had to do some different things because of COVID. They will have split rosters and all this different stuff. A cool collaboration. I mean, I remember the one Dynamite they did on the cruise was really, really special.
Yeah, that's where the singing Judas was born, was on the cruise.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really special time here. And certainly an interesting few months here. Now, that also adds a whole lot more to this match coming up at All Out. What if Jericho is indeed in a space where you don't have him locked into a deal past January, and that's just right now, and you need him to give the rub to someone else? This seems like a situation to do that. This seems like another opportunity to allow MJF, that bratty son of a bitch, to get something that he can wave in front of somebody, like his ring and his Burberry scarf, and now say, I have the head of Jericho here in AEW, and now I want your title. This is a perfect launching pad to get him there. But is this a way for Jericho to leave All Elite Wrestling? I don't think that's exactly true, but if you don't think WWE is going to try or at least look into it, come on. They would at least have it. It'd be stupid not to look into it.
I think Vince would want Jericho to kind of like, like when a Major League Baseball team brings back an aging player just so he can retire with that team that first drafted him.
100%.
I think Vince would want Jericho back just so he could retire.
Bring back my general. I want to come back and finish it at home.
And here's the thing: Jericho's a smart guy. He's 50 years old. How much longer does he actually want to go? And he's never really been one to slam the door or burn bridges or anything like that. Also, you look at
the Stone Cold Broken Skull session on the WWE Network as an AEW guy.
Right. You look at the landscape of AEW, and I go, does AEW need Chris Jericho? 2 years ago when they first launched, absolutely. Chris Jericho by far was the biggest signing until recently, was the biggest signing in the history of AEW. And you cannot tell me otherwise, because he was a guy that immediately gave this brand credibility. Mm-hmm. He immediately introduced them as a main event player in the wrestling scene. He had to have helped get them that big TV deal. He was their first world champion. He was their first main event superstar. Chris Jericho is a superstar, and him hopping over to AEW was a huge deal. And until just this past week was the biggest signing in the history of the company. But you look at where they are now, the bevy of talent they got, the young guys that they have built over the last 2 years, the mega stars that they brought in and are still yet to bring in. Mm-hmm. It's why Cody Rhodes is kind of faded to the back. Mm-hmm. It's why I think Chris Jericho is going to fade to the back. I don't know if he's leaving AEW, but this makes a ton of sense for a guy like Chris Jericho to no longer be in the limelight, to let other guys like Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy and Malachi Black and Miro and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk take the center stage.
And also, as a wrestling fan on the objective, this is me being a pro wrestling guy. I'm not a pro WWE guy, not a pro AEW guy. I love it all. I'm going to go to All Out.
Mark.
I'm a Mark, just having a good time.
I'm a wrestling Mark.
But it is.
Mark
I don't think it's great for the industry if everyone's just going one place and they're not going to the other. You
Yeah,
know,
it's going to happen.
I think the natural thing would be, if Jericho does come back, there are plenty of fun things he can do with people he hasn't done anything with yet. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy who likes a good dance partner and likes a good dance routine. There are some things he could do there. Him coming back, and he said he loved being an influence and being an ear. There was a line of people to talk to him at Dynamite. He loved now being the sage wizard, right? He liked that role, and he understands he's in that position. If I'm WWE and I can get him back, Raw, SmackDown, no. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, come on down. Let's get you in NXT. Let's get you chasing at Samoa Joe. Let's get you in the ear of all these young guys. We'll pay you a big bunch of money, and you get to do something fun. It's in Florida. You don't have to travel far. It's right here, and you can do the promo class and everything.
With Fozzy.
Here's the thing.
Have him in NXT. Jericho in NXT, I think, is an exciting thing.
Here's the thing. I fell for it last night, and it took my podcast co-host Matt to set me straight. Look at Jericho's eyes, and he was emotional. So you're thinking he is literally realizing this might be his last match at All Out, and I'm coming to, and I fell for it.
And we could be wrong.
He got
absolutely wrong.
He told me no. Jericho is such a good actor. You know, there's so many things that are making you think he's leaving AEW. Fozzy's going on tour throughout September, October, and November. Guess what? There are no Wednesday dates on that tour, by the way. Jericho's playing that, and they didn't even bring up how he looked emotional. I just noticed that from watching Dynamite last night. And so I think Jericho wins it All Out. I think just based on interviews Jericho's had over the past year, that I don't think WWE is imminent. I don't rule it out to end his career, but I don't think it's going to be next year. I think he's going to stay with AEW.
I mean, and also that wouldn't surprise me either. That wouldn't surprise
me. But if he does leave in January, tell you what better person to hand the reins of the Inner Circle to than Sammy Guevara. Bonafide superstar. The fans love him. He has risen so much ever since he wrestled the very first match in AEW history, by the way. So, and he's come so far since that day. So,
and what a great place to leave, to go over to WWE and wrestle MJF again, because I think MJF might be one of those guys.
I agree.
First guy.
I agree.
Over, because I think MJF, he's a businessman first and foremost. I don't know that for sure. I don't know him at all. Never met him. Never talked to him. He strikes me as a business guy. And if
he's 20, a business man.
Yeah,
he's a business
man. He's 25. He's 25. He's gonna want to test that water before he hangs up the boots. So guaranteed.
If WWE backs up the Brinks truck to his house, he's going. He's gone. He's gone. Absolutely. Yeah. And he'll instantly be the most hated man. And that think of that kind of moment. Think of that Kevin Nash level moment just in reverse, where MJF shows up on Monday Night Raw, and then you get, Jimmy Smith losing his damn mind. What the hell is he doing here?
He's not supposed to be here.
To be honest, he would be a fool to not give it a run in his career, because he's 25, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
And look at how good he is. So he definitely has to have a WWE run somewhere in his career, guaranteed.
Speaking of WWE, we're 30 minutes in. We haven't talked about SummerSlam. SummerSlam. At some point in the next few minutes, guys, I'll be popping out of here. SummerSlam.
He's got to go do some media thing, some stand-up Zoom call.
He's got to be a funny guy
for stars or some bullshit. Can't do his real job.
Ooh. Wow.
Thanks for pulling. That wasn't public knowledge, Rick.
Oh,
wow. Well, this podcast ain't public yet, so by the time it goes public,
we got time.
I will be covering the.
Hey, you get to watch a debut. You get to watch a debut of Punk in a different way, right?
Yes, I get to. I'll be the first crowd to see Punk's acting role in Heels. I'll be at the Chicago screening of that with Stephen Amell, the Arrow himself. Michael O'Malley from Nickelodeon's Guts is going to be.
I love that show.
And so I get to cover that, and hopefully maybe we'll be talking to somebody that we just spent a lot of time talking about.
Hopefully,
but
Mike O'Malley's a good guy.
Something to talk about. WWE, very successful weekend for them in Las Vegas. Over 50,000 people attended. This is the biggest show for pro wrestling worldwide in the last 2 years. It is also the most profitable show that WWE has had in years in terms of money. It brought in some of the highest merchandise sales the company's had in years in an individual event, one of the highest ticket gates they've ever had. And Rick is now wearing his hat because the man is back. A lot of big returns at SummerSlam.
And Rick also forgot to lock his computer at one point at SummerSlam.
Yes. What's going on here, Rick? You know, password protection, just leaving the open laptop.
Control, Alt, Delete, lock.
I thought I was in a very safe, very professional environment where I thought I had backup in Jose G.
Jose with the heel turn.
Yeah, and Jose, instead of saying, "Oh, hey Rick, let me close your laptop for you,"
let me.
Denise Salcedo, don't do that.
Denise Haxedo, that's what it is. Denise
Haxedo,
got in there.
It's not hard to hack when the computer is open.
True.
Okay,
you got hacked, dude.
I was literally gone for 2 minutes, and I come back, and all hell's breaking loose.
And
I had more notifications on my Twitter from Denise tweeting as me than I ever have as me.
Tell me about it, man. SummerSlam, quite the experience.
Dude, it was insane. Like I said at the top of the show, this is something where I'm still trying to get in my right frame of mind, trying to get reacclimated from the Western time zone and also all the rum that I drank while I was out there. But just top-notch event put on by WWE. The press junket was absolutely incredible. Getting to go to the tryout the day before on Thursday in Las Vegas and getting to talk to somebody who literally just got their WWE contract offered to him 30 minutes prior, getting to sit there and take part in the Triple H Q&A. It was incredible. A great event. A fantastic event put on by WWE. Those press junkets, Sean Rossap from Fightful.com said something similar on Twitter the other day. These press junkets are great, absolutely great, very easy to put on. Everybody gets 5 to 7 minutes with the superstars that they trotted out there. We talked, myself and Jose, we talked to 7, 8, 9, 10 different people. We talked to Drew McIntyre and Nikki ASH on back-to-back days. As a matter of fact, off camera, Drew McIntyre comes up to me on Friday morning. He was like, oh, Jesus, what are we going to talk about today? I came up with some new questions for you. He's great.
Professional.
Yeah, he's
professional.
He gets it. So I mean, everything was fantastic, and then the show itself came and went, and it was a night of ups and downs. None bigger than the returns of the man Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar, and at both of those instances, man, the entire arena was shaking. A fantastic venue. The Vegas Raiders have a hell of a home field advantage. Because with that roof closed and the crowd going nuts, man, the stadium is insane. The decibels in there are off the charts. Literally, my computer was shaking. Also, my hands were shaking when Becky Lynch came back because I'm the biggest Becky Lynch homer on the planet. Yeah. And that was a beautiful swerve that WWE did. But, man, it was incredible. It was an incredible scene to be there for all of those. And you got to give credit to WWE. AEW hit them with a big-ass stick with CM Punk. And
just the night before.
The night before. And WWE, to their credit, they put on the biggest glove possible and gave him the biggest counterpunch they could. Nothing they could do was going to match CM Punk coming back to wrestling in 7 years. But bringing back Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar on the same night was the best thing that they could do. And now SmackDown tomorrow night, where they're both going to be on there, babyface Brock and heel Becky Lynch, which we'll get to in just a few moments. That's must-watch television, boys.
Yeah, it's gonna be. That you had Cena and Reigns in the main event, and a fantastic main event at that. There were some off things on it, some silly sketches they tried that didn't work in front of 50,000 people, right? But overall, I thought this was a thumbs-up SummerSlam. I thought this was a very, very fun show. The good was great, and it outweighed the bad. And then the next night, you had an incredible NXT takeover, which was absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna pop out, guys. I do have to run over and do this show. I will be covering Heels, the screening tonight. CM Punk will be there. We'll get to see more about it. Follow our socials. Follow me at Kev Kellam for all the latest. We'll have a lot more. Take care. Have a good one, boys.
See you, Kev.
All right, so I'll take over here in the Appreciate everybody who is joining in here on the Inside Kradle. Rick Ucchino and Jeremy Bennett going to be finishing out the rest of the show today. Since Kevin's popped out, let me get the good background in.
There we go.
Get
the branding in there.
Oh, yes, get the branding. Welcome in, everybody. So again, Jeremy, SummerSlam, just absolutely fantastic. And again, all those interviews that I talked about with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, Nikki ASH, and so many more people. I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. Dewdrop had a great conversation with Dewdrop. What a sweetheart she is.
Yeah.
All of that is up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel, so make sure to check it out. So we got must-see television. First off, the man is back, and didn't get to talk about this ad nauseum because I was losing my mind so much over the fact that he was back that I didn't realize the match with Bianca Belair was over before I really started paying attention. I saw the punch, I saw the manhandle slam, and then I'm like, wait, did the ref just count 3?
27 seconds.
Is this bitch over already? What?
I love that name, by the way, the manhandle slam. That is great. Right. I love that name.
And that's part of Becky Lynch's shtick, man. She is great at puns. And now she is back. I got a pun of my own. The man is back. She is ready to take over and complete the manifest destiny, taking over everything in WWE from the East Coast all the way to the Pacific Ocean out in the West Coast. She is back. I am so damn happy. But a lot of people got pissed off about this, Jeremy. A lot of people thought the WWE, including Nikki Bella, on the SummerSlam red carpet.
Ooh, Scott Fishman got an interview, and that went viral.
Yeah, Scott Fishman and Denise Salcedo had 2 viral interviews. Denise with Bianca Belair, her loss moments after, and then Scott talking to Nikki Bella, and Nikki's like, I'm paraphrasing here, but that was bullshit. And there are a lot of people who feel that way about Bianca Belair. Here we are, almost a week later now. Your reaction,
Ryan Satin said while they were showing the little stills from SummerSlam at Monday Night Raw, they were booing when Becky Lynch was shown on Monday.
I would venture a guess. I will venture a guess, and we'll get to this, that they were booing the booking, not Becky Lynch. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But your reaction now that we've had some time to settle on this, Bianca Belair losing in 27 seconds to Becky Lynch.
I didn't like that, but I mean, I've said this all along. Becky Lynch was not scheduled to wrestle until October. They were playing it safe. This was an audible. Okay, they had the shirts printed up. Well, yes, Becky Lynch was probably gonna show up at SummerSlam regardless. If the Sasha Banks and Bianca match was gonna happen, Becky Lynch was probably gonna come out and face the winner. I picked Sasha Banks to win that match, and it was gonna be a Becky and Sasha showdown. But you got to play it safe with the man. She has not wrestled in 16 months and was not scheduled to wrestle for yet another 2 months, month and a half, 2 months from now. So you got to play it safe. So that's granted, was it the best way to do it? Maybe they should have made it a triple threat and she did this all to Carmella after throwing Bianca out of the ring and do it that way in a minute. Maybe that would have been a better way to go, but you still had to play it safe with Becky. You lost her for 16 months due to, having a family, which was great, and a great moment when she told Asuka. I mean, that was a tremendous moment on Raw when in the I think they were still in the Performance Center at that time. And so you have to play it safe. They had to do something on the fly, sort of. I guess according to Meltzer, they knew for 8 days that Becky Lynch was not going to be, or they knew for 8 days that Sasha Banks was not going to be at SummerSlam. But regardless, you have to play it safe. She hasn't wrestled in 16 months and was not supposed to wrestle that night.
I get where you're coming from. I really, really do. And I thought this in the moment that there is a much better way they could have done that. Because I look at the way Kevin Owens lost the Universal Championship to Goldberg. Right?
Yeah.
Spear, jackhammer, that's it. Like after months of him just being a dominant champion, we're supposed to expect that a one spear and a jackhammer with no buildup whatsoever can take out Kevin Owens. And that was the same thing with Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
She is.
I mean, she set all those Performance Center records in the gym there,
I mean, look at what she went through literal hell with Bayley inside Hell in the Cell to come out on top.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to one forearm and a manhand and a rock bottom, basically. One forearm and a rock bottom when she was fresh as hell is going to take her out. I don't buy that booking. I don't.
Art of surprise, Rick.
Right.
The art of surprise.
Which is why I don't like the forearm. Becky Lynch has that throat punch in her arsenal. I would have rather have gone with the throat punch to where Bianca is struggling to breathe.
Yeah.
Then she takes the manhandle slam and then she gets pinned. I could buy that, but even still, give me a 3-minute match, man. Give me a 3-minute match where Bianca is dominating Becky. You can have the commentators playing off on the fact that Becky looks rusty and Bianca is just beating the crap out of her. She can sell. I don't care how easy you got to take it with Becky or how, limited they made her if they did. She can still sell. Bianca could have looked incredibly strong for 3 minutes. She could have got cocky because that's what it was. She could get cocky. She could get arrogant. That could play into her character. Yeah. And then Becky hits her with that surprise throat punch, hits her with the manhandle slam or locks her into the disarmor and wins. The shock. You want to go for shock factor, that's fine. But there would have been better ways to keep Bianca looking strong than what they did. Now, granted, we don't know the end game.
Yeah, it's gonna be all about how they follow this up now.
Right. I would be stunned, actually. I don't think Bianca Belair is going to get Nikki Ashed because Nikki drops the Raw Women's Championship to Charlotte a month after winning the damn thing. And then on Monday is nowhere near the title, is nowhere near Charlotte, is now seemingly in a tag team with Rhea Ripley, or at least that's what they're teasing there, which we'll get to that and coming up here in just a few moments here on the Inside Kradle. This is going to be set up for something bigger for Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is a star. She is money. They know that. Becky Lynch hasn't been beaten since the Royal Rumble of 2019 in one-on-one competition.
Yeah.
Not cleanly, anyway. She did lose at Money in the Bank to Charlotte, but that a lot of extenuating circumstances there. A win over Becky Lynch really makes Bianca Belair, and I think that's what's going to be the build here. Mm-hmm. And my only concern is, can Becky Lynch get heat? I think she could, but right now I'm not sure. And that's why even if Becky Lynch did request to come back as a heel, I don't know if I would have gone that route this quickly because it's been 16 months.
Yeah.
People have been dying to see her. People have literally been chanting her name over Seth Rollins and Charlotte Flair and the like. They want to be happy that she's back. We were happy for all of about 90 seconds before we started going, what the hell was that? I don't care if this was Becky's idea. I just don't think it's a good idea right now. Ultimately, I could be proved wrong, but I don't think she's going to get booed on Friday. I really don't.
No, and I thought this was going to be a catalyst to turn Bianca heel because Bianca does work pretty good. She does work pretty good as a heel, and so I thought this was going to be the way. And then we saw the report literally a day after that the plan is to make Becky Lynch heel. I'm like, hey, good luck with that. You're going to have to literally pipe in boos to make us believe this, basically.
And the question is how are they going to do it?
Yeah, it's going to have to be in her promo somehow. You know,
they can't do what they did the last time. The last time when they tried to make her a heel, they went the lazy route. Oh, I'm going to insult the audience. You guys weren't really behind me. Bullshit. We've been literally chanting your name for months.
Yeah.
You can't insult us because we're not buying it. So she can't insult the audience. It's not going to work. And, she can't go back to doing the chicken shit heel crap. The thing that kept
I got it.
The thing that kept that Evolution match with Charlotte Flair from being a perfect 5-star match was Becky trying to run away with the championship. That's not her character anymore.
She becomes the drip goddess with Seth Rollins. Boom. Comes out in some fancy suits. Bam.
All right. So it was fun having Jeremy on the show. I guess I'll have to continue. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm a terrible solo host, so you're lucky.
You don't like that idea, huh?
No, I don't think Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch.
They don't want to work together. They want to be on the same show, obviously, but they don't want to work together.
I get why WWE did it initially. They really wanted to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
But their characters, as Seth Rollins said in a recent interview, just did not mesh. They didn't work. They have tremendous chemistry with one another.
Obviously, they made a kid.
Yes, they have tremendous chemistry with one another. On screen, character-wise, they don't. We'll see how this Becky Lynch heel turn works. If I'm WWE, I'm keeping it open-ended. Right. I'm keeping it a possibility for either one of these ladies to turn heel.
They're gonna have to do They're gonna have to do this just like Becky Lynch is. They're gonna have to do the Steve Austin thing and try as hard as they can. And if they fail, she's still a massive baby face. Either a tweener.
I think Becky Lynch has reached that upper echelon where Charlotte Flair is, where she's not a baby face, she's not a heel, she's Becky Lynch.
It's kind of like Britt Baker.
Yeah, just let her be the anti-hero. She can attack baby faces and heels and beef with everybody because you need people like that. You really do. She is a star. She's going to continue to move her merchandise. She's going to continue to make you guys money. All of that is great, but don't try to dictate. Don't try to get us to boo her.
Yeah.
Just let her do her stuff. And if we decide to boo her, we decide to boo her. If not, you can take another avenue. You can turn Bianca Belair heel, which I think would be a much easier route. And I think she would play a tremendous heel. I'm not saying Becky doesn't know how to get heat, but she's just so beloved at this point. It's going to be interesting to see how they don't insult us. Don't sit here and say that Becky Lynch, 16 months after a teary goodbye saying, I'm going to miss you guys, is going to come back and then say, screw all you people.
The beautiful thing about this is if you run Becky Lynch heel, and when Bayley comes back, all 4 horsewomen are heel. And that could be something magical that they could run with down the line.
That's one of the things that popped into my head earlier this week.
Yeah.
All of them are heel right now. All of them. You got 3 of them on the same damn show.
Mm-hmm.
If Bayley wasn't hurt right now, imagine the Survivor Series match we could have.
We could have some fun. When is she due back, by the way?
Bayley?
Yeah.
Oh, easily 9 months.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, at least that was the initial report. She's talking about an ACL, bad knee injury. She had to have surgery.
When did she go down again?
It was 2 weeks before live crowds came back. So middle of July. Well, I mean, we're talking after WrestleMania next year. So who knows how everything is going to shake out. Who knows what's going on?
Charlotte might not be there. Who knows? She might leave the company.
Who knows what's going on with Sasha Banks right now, to be completely honest with you. That's still,
true.
And that's the other thing.
Nobody knows.
That's the other wrench in all of this plan. Are you just going to abandon the Sasha Banks storyline because she wasn't able to be there at SummerSlam? Or, dude, I mean, look, there's a lot of options on the table. You could go triple threat. I don't know if you go triple threat at Extreme Rules and put the title right back on Bianca. I don't know if you wait until Saudi Arabia or you wait all the way until Survivor Series. I mean, I don't know when Becky Lynch's first title defense is going to be.
it's weird that we haven't heard anything for Sasha. And when you don't hear anything in this era, it's probably, you got to assume it's probably was COVID then, because that's the one thing that WWE completely just does not say anything about is when they've had COVID. So outside of Drew McIntyre, who would openly say it. So, but you don't know. I mean, but at the same time, like Meltzer said, they knew for 8 days she was not going to be at SummerSlam. So obviously something's going on, but it's just kind of weird that we have zero word on what it was.
Yeah, and a lot of people will criticize WWE about advertising Sasha Banks right up until the match started. Had they gone with Carmella, I would have been right there with you. I would have been right there. I remember staring at Jose, who was to my right, Jose G. As soon as Bianca did her little mic promo on Carmella, and the referee raised up the belt like this match was getting underway, I looked over at Jose and I said, they literally could not have handled this worse.
Yeah.
And then the downbeat hit, and I, along with 50,000 other people, lost my ever-loving mind because they got me. They got me with the swerve, and it was that big moment. And the one thing that I loved, God, because Becky Lynch is so damn good at this. She throws Carmella out of the ring, goes over to Bianca and says, "I'll be right back." And then make sure to take Carmella out. It's like, I got a good shot. Okay, now I'm going to turn my attention to you. And right before she even turned her head to Carmella, she just got this annoyed look on her face.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch is so good with the facial. She is edge level good with facial expressions and telling a story in the ring. She just gets that annoyed look on her face, turns around, takes out Carmella, looks back at Bianca. "I'll be right back." And then goes and takes out Carmella again before hopping into the ring. And then she did it again. Right as she was going ready to shake her hand, she drew her in. She made eye contact with Bianca. Bianca looks down. She eats the forearm. And then, we're off with the heel turn. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. Another really interesting aspect here, because if you would have bet me money that Becky Lynch was going to come back and be a heel, I would have lost a ton.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have bet me money that when Brock Lesnar came back, he was going to be a babyface, I would have lost a lot of money on that. And now with the Beast back after what was a tremendous SummerSlam main event between Roman Reigns and John Cena, one that made children cry, one that made literal children cry. And Roman Reigns was so good on the bump. If you didn't see their reaction, go check out the video. Damn good. Brock Lesnar comes down. We get a face-to-face. And obviously, this is teasing big things. Paul Heyman played his role spectacularly here. Paul Heyman looked like, the high school senior who was told not to throw a party while his parents were out of town, and came back early in the middle of the party. That is what Paul Heyman looked like. It was like, Daddy's home, and I'm in trouble. And
it was weird. It was weird. It was like Paul had like the perfect reaction. It wasn't really shock. It wasn't really fear. It was just like, I don't know what to do because I don't know how to feel right now, because I'm in this parallel universe where my tribal chief and now the guy I've been advocating for years are now face to face. What do I do? But this was the only situation to bring Brock Lesnar back for because of Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when Paul Heyman first aligned himself with Roman Reigns, this was the scenario that I wanted. Yeah. I wanted to know what's going to happen when Brock Lesnar comes back.
Yeah.
Well, now a full year later, Brock Lesnar's back with the crowds. Paul Heyman is still by the tribal chief, who is the Universal Champion. And now here's your old client. What are we going to do? I'm wondering if Paul's going to try and form an alliance here.
Yeah.
It's going to blow up badly in his face.
It will. Friday's going to be a lot of fun just to see what direction things are going to go. And the cool thing is, after you do this thing with Lesnar and Reigns, then hopefully maybe they shift some gears and then we get that dream match with Lesnar and Lashley that we've been waiting for a long time as well.
There's a draft coming up, and the timing of everything is going to be very interesting. I don't know when Bianca and Becky get back in the ring with one another.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sasha Banks gets involved in any of that, depending on what her situation is. But I mean, you talk about the next pay-per-view is a month from today.
Yep.
It's September 26th, Columbus, Ohio, Extreme Rules. How big are we making that pay-per-view? Do you think we're getting Becky and Bianca and Reigns and Lesnar in Columbus, Ohio at Extreme Rules? Because I sure as hell don't. I don't think that's going down at all. So it's going to be interesting. How do you bridge the gap?
Yeah.
I think with Reigns, you have a very logical choice in Finn Balor, because Finn Balor lost out on his opportunity at SummerSlam.
Yep.
He's going to be come calling tonight. Tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns kicks off the show or kicks off hour 2, calls out Brock Lesnar, and it's Finn Balor who shows up, because we haven't seen Finn Balor really since he lost the opportunity to John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a ton of sense for Finn Balor to get his shot at Extreme Rules and then save Lesnar for Saudi Arabia or for Survivor Series, down the line, because we know Brock comes and goes as he pleases. So they have plenty of time to let this story play out. You have Finn Balor there. I don't know what you do with Bianca and Becky, but it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how you can stretch that out, but I mean, you could probably do Bianca and Becky at Extreme Rules and then maybe work your way towards a triple threat at Survivor Series, possibly.
Now, I will be at Extreme Rules. I'm in Cincinnati, so that's just a quick 90-minute drive for me. So if they do put that match on the card, I fully expect Becky Lynch to lose that match, because outside of SummerSlam, I have never been in attendance where she's won anything.
Oh, boy.
But granted, I haven't really seen her. God, Max, so I have bad luck with Becky Lynch at live events until SummerSlam. I've had bad luck. So I will go to a SmackDown in Cincinnati and she's not there because she's filming the Marine, or something like that. Or I show up to Monday Night Raw and it was literally after she won at WrestleMania in 2019, she literally shows up for 3 seconds, beats up Lacey Evans, and then leaves. And that was all we saw for the women's division, the entire night. So it's I have really, or I go to, what was it? Fastlane in Columbus, where she's in a random mixed tag match and she's the one that gets pinned. So it's very bad luck until SummerSlam. So maybe SummerSlam has turned my luck around when it comes to the man. We'll see.
Yeah, well, or SummerSlam where she got caught in some bad booking and now is getting booed. So maybe that is your fault.
Dude, she wasn't getting booed at SummerSlam. That place was raucous.
Yeah,
start to finish, all 27 seconds of that match. That crowd was losing their ever-loving minds. I will say this: it was so great seeing her back for the first time in 16 months. We are guaranteed to see Becky Lynch on WWE TV Friday night. Cannot wait. We will be breaking it all down after it's over on Smack Talk. Right after SmackDown and right after Rampage at 11:05. I do believe we're still going at 11:05. We're waiting for the man himself, Dutch Mantel, to say, yeah, all right, let's do it, which we definitely should.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So we'll definitely be on after SmackDown here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and all those other channels, and we will break down everything that goes on with Friday Night SmackDown. What happens with the Beast? What happens with the man? We will be there breaking it all down. Myself, Dutch Mantel, and SP3. Do have one final thing we get to before we wrap up. I did have somebody tweet at me this week. It's our first follower question, and feel free. You see my handle there on the screen at Rick Ucchino. Give me a follow. Closing in on 2,200 followers, which I really, really appreciate. You can tweet me questions anytime, and I will bring them up on the show, just like the tweet that I got from at Queen MON8. Her name is Queen Monet, I believe. She wants to know my opinion on a possible Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH tag team. And this was something that was heavily teased on Monday. And, it's really, really weird because I have a lot of mixed feelings when it comes to Nikki ASH, who is a tremendous human being. Again, got to talk to her twice. Both of those interviews are up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. I feel like she got a really, really raw deal after she won the Money in the Bank and then won the Raw Women's Championship. A lot of confusing bookings surrounding Nikki ASH since she won the title to when she dropped it. And then there's a lot of questionable things about what they did with Rhea Ripley, because I thought the whole arc of her character was to get that win back over Charlotte Flair eventually, and she never did. And now Charlotte Flair is the Raw Women's Champion, and then on Monday, neither one of those women are anywhere near the title picture. It's nope, we're done with all that for now. Now we got to find something for them to do. Hey, we need tag teams. Why don't we throw a superhero and the Nightmare together? So we got Nikki ASH and her version of Nightwing, I guess.
Yeah.
Batman or Robin, whatever you want to call them. God, you just saw Nikki like jump into her arms and celebrate. This is great. And then Rhea's just like, what the hell's going on here? It was like Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man 3 trailer when Spider-Man called him Steven, and he's like, strange, but I'll allow it. It feels weird, but I'll allow it. That's the same vibe I got, which was interesting because I think that trailer dropped right around the same time that this happened on Monday.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm not mad at it. I'm mad at the fact that neither one of them are in the title picture right now. I'm mad at the fact that both of them kind of got screwed over by bad booking, none of which is Charlotte's fault, by the way. Don't take it out on her. But they need something to do. I'm not mad at them in a tag team.
No, and obviously, especially with the cuts they made and moves they made, I mean, there's a lack of tag teams in the WWE right now. So they need to start kind of building these tag teams up once again. And yeah, I'm all for it. I think it'll be a pairing that should work down the road, I think.
Yeah, and it's quirky. There's a lot of different things that you could go, with it. And I'm not mad at the fact that, they want to do Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. I think Alexa Bliss has been out of the title picture for a very, very long time. Yeah. But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth what they did to Nikki this weekend. Because the entire story leading up to SummerSlam was, at least my interpretation of it was, she won the title via fluke, and now it's her showing that she has earned it, that she deserves it, and she's going to see speed bumps along the way. She lost to Charlotte, but then she beat her the following week. She lost to Rhea, but she's going to come back. She's going to get this big win in the biggest match of her career at SummerSlam, and instead, the booking is, oh, nope, you're going to tap out to Charlotte. Everything we just did over the last 5 weeks doesn't mean a damn thing, and now you're getting thrown into this makeshift tag team with Rhea Ripley when you should still be the Raw Women's Champion, and you should still be feuding with Alexa Bliss. That's story. That's the angle to go. It's not Alexa randomly targeting Charlotte.
No,
it's Alexa and Nikki. That's the way that their two characters have gone.
Batman and Joker.
Batman and Joker. Thank you. That's it.
And they had all the history they've had too. I mean, this was perfect. Maybe they're saving that for later. Maybe if Alexa, because I mean, hell, Charlotte ain't gonna hold that belt for long. She never holds a belt for long. So maybe they're saving Alexa and Nikki for down the line. Maybe a WrestleMania or something, or a big pay-per-view. Maybe they're kind of saving that. Maybe whatever faith they had in Nikki just disappeared like that. Because I mean, she only had a 33-day title reign. So
it definitely seemed to me that they thought the character was going to get over quicker than it did.
Yeah.
A lot of mixed reactions, but I mean, this is a character, WWE people, we hate change. Remember, we hated the New Day at first. And now they're one of the most beloved groups of all time. It takes time. It takes patience. People adore Nikki Cross as a human being. They adore crazy Nikki Cross. It took a while for people to get on board with Nikki and Alexa, but eventually they were. I just think WWE didn't want to be as patient with Nikki as Raw Women's Champion.
Yeah. And I mean, you see all the fan art and everything. I mean, there is a following for her. I just don't think there is a mass following or a casual following, so to speak, for her, but there is a following.
And they didn't do her any favors. They did her no favors by having her lose after winning I understand the story of what they were trying to tell, but then at the end of it, they didn't follow through to make any of that make sense. So then they just had her lose nonsensically.
Yeah.
They were putting her on in the third hour when her key demographic was asleep.
Right.
And then they didn't have any Nikki ASH merch until 4 days before SummerSlam.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have gotten in the mail by the time you headed to SummerSlam, or if like that. So
you could have had kids everywhere. They still aren't, as far as I know, they still aren't selling masks. They aren't selling masks. They aren't selling capes. Those are slam dunk kids.
I think we're all waiting for that big moment, and maybe that big moment is where you get her on screen with Mighty Molly and the Hurricane. Get those three together somehow and just do something that's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to come somewhere down the line. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Mighty Molly comes in for a one-off tag match with Nikki somewhere down the line too, when Rhea turns on her, because that's going to happen, guaranteed. So there's going to be those moments that are that may make this character finally turn that corner, and maybe those kind of nostalgia, kind of passing of the torch of these superheroes, passing the torch to this superhero might be that moment to kind of bring her into a casual type of acceptance.
I had an epiphany. Like lightning just struck my brain. Brought up Hurricane. You know what Nikki and Rhea, that tag team, you know what they kind of remind me of? It's Hurricane and Rosie.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the internet meltdown? Dressed up Rhea in a superhero outfit? Could you imagine? I want to see it now just to watch the world burn.
It's going to happen now. You just brought it into existence, Rick. It's happening now, all because of you. Goodness. You just willed it into existence, Rick.
Oh, I don't want to see anything more in my life. Like this is
happening now. It's happening now. We have not really seen, outside of maybe a hair change, we have not really seen a different look on Rhea Ripley outside of her, babyface, white meat babyface Mae Young Classic appearance. Now, so we've seen the same kind of appearance. Yeah, you just created a monster, Rick.
But here's the thing, man. I'm not sitting here saying they should put her in some bright red, spandex suit and, put a wig on her or anything like that.
So kind of like Nightwing.
I would say, no, man, I'm thinking Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh,
yes, I'm thinking what Rhea likes to wear, that tight leather, full length, like badass superhero bitch chick kind of outfit. You know what I'm saying?
She has like a mask, and she has like a cat mask, and
put her in something like that. Michelle Pfeiffer level badass Batman Returns. That's what I'm talking about. Put that up next to Nikki ASH. That makes some sense. And I think fans would be more all about that than if they tried to completely change Rhea and put her in some kind of red butterfly suit.
That'll definitely pull in the male demographic for sure.
But you agree that would play better. That would play a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I forgot. I would not want to do any like humiliate. I mean, the humiliation with Rosie was a different thing because it was comedic and it was funny, and he played it off so well. I don't think it would translate that well with Rhea, maybe, but I don't know. I like your idea much better than trying to make her into a colorful superhero.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. It's like I'm not sitting here and trying to say that we take Rhea Ripley and completely change her and we put her into like this comic character. And I don't even think like Nikki should be a comedic character. I wanted them to book her seriously, and they did, and they have. She's lost her matches, but she's been a true competitor and a trooper throughout all of this.
Yeah.
So if this is the direction they're going to go, and you're trying to build a dynamic with these two, eventually down the line, I would like to see. And I wish they would do this with Nikki too. I would play more into the superhero aspect of it. I would like to see actually Nikki Cross and Nikki ASH.
Oh,
I'd like to see Nikki outside as her alter ego or her her almost secret identity,
kind of like Gregory Helms did.
Yes, exactly. I mean, play into this. Give me a spotlight with a butterfly on it. Give me the Nikki symbol.
She just takes off running.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Give me an actual Nikki mobile that she can drive down to the ring in. I mean, there's ways to get this character.
Give me some boom and pow graphics when she lands punches.
Yes, there are ways to do this.
Man, they need to hire us as bookers. Come on, man.
Dude, I would take a job with WWE today just as the executive producer of the Nikki ASH character.
Right.
I will get that mother effing character over inside of 2 months. Inside of 2 months, because Nikki plays it great. You just gotta give her the assistance that she needs. You gotta play into your audience. I think there's ways to do this. And I think and the more I think about it, I think a Nikki Rhea tag team could really, really work. I'd like to see them bring up some more established tag teams to fuel that division, because you can't just keep taking.
Do we
have any? We're not taking on. We don't have, like this person that we're not doing anything with. So let's shoehorn them with this person. I'm waiting for them to do that on SmackDown. Like I'm waiting for Liv Morgan to get put in another tag
again.
Again, instead of, her. I just want her on TV. Like tomorrow. That's all I want. I want her on TV. Her and Toni Storm. Let's go.
And Mia Yim.
Yes, Mia Yim, Naomi. Let's actually book some secondary women's feuds. It's harder on SmackDown because you got 2 hours, but you stack this card for a reason. You stack this roster for a reason.
Yeah.
You can't just keep putting these people on the bench. It's amazing that they've released as many people as they have and still have talented people sitting on the bench.
I know, it's insane. And apparently this news kind of dropped today, and we'll talk about it on Top Story later on tonight with Jose, but apparently USA is getting a little irked at the stacked SmackDown a little heavier than Raw right now, and they're getting a little irked at that whole thing. But you know what it is all about? It's all about the money.
Here's the other thing. There's a draft coming up in a month.
Yep.
So you're going to be able to spread the wealth out a little bit. Going to be very, very interesting to see how they do the draft this year, because I don't think Roman Reigns is going anywhere.
No, Fox won't allow it.
So that's the thing, man. Because like last year they set up like draft pools and this, that, and the other thing. But remember last year when Raw, because they always get the number one pick because they always do that 3-2 format.
3-2 thing, yeah.
And they picked Drew McIntyre over Roman Reigns, one overall pick. That ain't happening this year.
No.
How are they going to justify Raw picking anybody else over Roman Reigns?
They may not do that 3-2 thing this year. Who knows?
They've done it every year since the draft has been conceptualized. So I don't know. Maybe they change things up. I'd like to think so, but
they need to change things up because those drafts have been stale. They have not been exciting.
I have written plenty of articles in my day on how to on how to spruce up. I would love to see them take a more of an NFL approach to it.
Right.
When they first did that draft in 2019, when they first did the draft in 2019 and you had Becky Lynch as the number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah.
Should have been a big effing moment. She should have come out. They should have played her music. She could have popped off to the crowd. She could have given Stephanie a big old hug, like they do. They hug the commish in the NFL draft. She could have, done an interview. They could have said something, make it a big deal instead of glossing over and then immediately moving over to, the next pick, whoever it was for Monday Night Raw. And then they had the Fiend and this, that, and the other thing. You can make it a big deal. You only have to do 10 picks on a show. You don't have to, and then continue it online. To
get around your roadblock there, maybe your champions make the picks. So Roman makes the picks for SmackDown. Bobby makes, kayfabing it, but they are the mouthpieces instead of Stephanie this time. The champions are the mouthpieces. And so then you don't pick anybody over Roman because Roman's making the picks.
Right. But that's the other reason why the draft worked so well the first time around is because we knew we had Bruce Pritchard on one side. We had Paul Heyman on one side. And these were two shows that were supposedly competing with one another. Yeah. Now we have the same people, the same authority figures. I would have some network heads come in. I would make this a Fox versus USA thing.
Yeah.
That's where the money is. You got to have some conflict in this. And if you're USA and but that's the problem. If you're USA and you have the number 1 pick, how do you not pick Roman Reigns?
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. It'll be interesting to see if they shake anything up on it.
How the hell is WWE going to keep Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch on the same show? Because they are not moving them away from Fox. They're not moving them away from SmackDown, which also means that Seth Rollins is staying put.
Yep.
This is going to be a very interesting draft, which is supposed to be coming up in about a month. So that is it, guys. Make sure to give us the old follows there. You see our Twitter handles there at Rick Ucchino. For those who are listening on the audio version, RICKUCCHINO, and follow Jeremy at JB Huskers on Twitter. We always appreciate you guys following along. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. We are closing in. We're this close to 20,000 subscribers on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. So much great content from SummerSlam week up there right now. Also, make sure to check out Sportskeeda's website. Today, I had an article that went up with Jazzy Yang. If you don't know that name, think about the last name. Maybe you know her dad or remember her dad, Jimmy Wang Yang. Jazzy is about to make her NWA debut this weekend at Empower as 1/3 of the Free Babes, as she is going to be competing in the NWA Women's Tag Team Title Tournament at just 18 years old. I had a chance to talk to her this week, so that article is up right now on the on Sportskeeda.com. So make sure to check that out. Jeremy, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Got my podcast, Lost in the Mid-Card. Actually, new episodes drop every Thursday, so we're going to drop one here. I'm going to work on getting that processed here after we get off the air. But every Thursday, Lost in the Mid-Card with myself and fellow Sportskeeda writer Matt Black. We've been going at it for about 6.5 years now. We're getting ever so close to episode 300. You can follow us podcast. Just search for Lost in the Mid-Card. Make sure you select the new feed because we got a new feed now. Or on the YouTube, just search for Lost in the Mid-Card there as well. Or litmcpodcast.com. That's all our socials and all of our links.
All right. So again, guys, we appreciate it. Inside Kradle is going to be back next week, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully we'll have some new interviews to drop for you. Hopefully I got some irons in the fire. I'm working on it. I'm letting WWE, you know, I'm not going to email them this week. They literally just gave me a dozen interviews in a week.
Right.
So I can let the PR people chill for a week. I do appreciate everything that they gave us access to in the past week. Those guys were absolutely tremendous. We appreciate you guys. Jeremy, Kevin's not here because he's off being some, you know, Chicago elite, you know,
right.
Whatever that he is.
Tell Chicago's finest.
Tell the fine folks what they need to do when watching wrestling.
You got to enjoy wrestling. Yeah.
Take care, everybody.